And we are live. Sunday night with those guys and Sunday night with those guys is sponsored by
Those
guys.
guys. What's up, everyone? I'm
What's up?
sorry about the echo at first. Hey, what's. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. I'm sorry about the echo, guys. We were trying something new there. What's up, JSK, JDS, Drone Worship? How are you, my friend? Maddie's Drone World, Stephen, Flyby Guys, Rob C, Aviano Aerial was out flying with us last night. What's up, everybody? How are you? Happy Sunday to you, the Sunday after 9/11 Memorial. Um, this was one of the shots that I got last night while I was out with Herman and Rob C. Aviano Studios.
Okay. Sure.
Hope everyone had a happy 9/11. I don't know how you could be happy, but you know, a memorable one. What could I say, Herman?
I don't know. I mean, it was a tough day
I
for
can
the
barely hear you. Let me
country,
turn
but
it.
especially
I
many
got it.
people here in New York who have family and friends who were
Hey,
lost.
Iceberg.
I know personally, I know a few guys that were lost, that from my union that lost and they were working in the building. A lot of the guys, a lot of people did get out of the building, but not
Yeah.
not
It,
not
it, what
it's
happened?
it's not good. It wasn't it's a tough day to think about, but
It is. Oh, shoot. I forgot to send Tom an invite.
wow,
I'm doing good, right?
doing
I'm
real good.
doing real good. Hold on here. Let me go to invite. I forgot to send Tom an invite, damn it. How dare I do that?
Yeah, how'd you do that?
Sorry, Tom. I apologize.
Tom's in the chat.
No, but just in case. I forgot to send him one. I feel so bad about that. I apologize. What's up, everybody? How are you? Happy Sunday. Hope your weekend has been well. I know I apologize if you've had rough day, no matter how many years it's been, Maddie. Drone Worlds, Matt says. I kind of hear you. I understand. You know,
Hey, Joe
I
Wood. Joe
personally,
Woodship. What's up, man?
like everybody does. I'd say that was, you remember the movie The Day the Earth Stood
He
Still?
did. Yeah.
Well, that could be the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Well, I mean, the company I was working for was in there, and 3 weeks before it, I was transferred over to Queens.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't I JDS.
I don't know if you remember back then we had OTB.
Yes, I remember OTV. Hey, Drone Worship says, hey, what's up, Herman?
What's up?
Rough day, I will admit. Hey, Stefan, how are you? I hope everyone is doing fine out there. Some people, this is a hard time of year. It only gets hard for me. The up and coming days, I'm fine. But on the actual day of 9/11, when you see so much stuff and so much carnage and so much this, so much that on, send me an invite so I can laugh about the 9/11 flight party. Oh, Draymond, let me send him an invite on Messenger and get him in here because we flew exactly after the no-fly zone was down. The no-fly zone, they said, was supposed to be down at 8 o'clock. We found out that it was down shortly about 6 or 7 because Rob C and I had got to a place to go fly, and we were going to wait for the flight restriction to go, the no-fly zone to drop down. And Draymond, I sent you an invite on Messenger. And what we did was we had our drone set up. We pulled out the apps, and each app said that the no-fly zone was not there anymore. So we're like, wait a minute, we don't have to wait till 8 o'clock. Let's catch some sunset pictures. and that's what we did. But it was an eventful night. I'm really glad I didn't go all the way to Jersey with those guys to fly. They were out there all night. I
So
know
you,
they were.
you
Billy,
caught,
Kyle, and all of them, they already posting their pictures. What were you saying?
you caught the sunset.
I did catch some pictures of the sunset, yes, because we were going to wait. Like I said, Rob seeing us, we saw that the NOTAM what Sky Vector said that it would be over at 8 p.m. So
Okay.
we had agreed to get there a little early, and we are just going to sit and chill and plan where we were going to fly. I
Right.
showed him where the cranes were and stuff. Because we were behind a yard, and that was it.
And you
Like
got
I said, we started.
earlier than 8 o'clock.
It was over earlier than 8 o'clock. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere between 6:30 and 7-ish, I think. If I remember, I looked at my app, I said, let me check to see if it's still up. And first I check air map, then I go to a loft, then I go, no, I do it for this reason. Air map has a different update from, here's Draymond, air map has a different update from a loft. So I use them for different purposes. But a loft said that it was gone. And also B4UFly said permission to take off.
Right.
B4UFly said, hey, Draymond.
Hey, Mo, what's up, man?
B4UFly said permission to take
How y'all
off.
doing?
What?
Right.
We're good, man. We're good. How are you?
So you want from the driveway?
Oh no, that's a background picture of a car I had about 10 years ago.
Oh, I thought you was out in the driveway.
No, it's too hot outside.
What's up, Eddie Nunez? But yeah, it was close. Oh, see, Rob C says it was closer to 7. Okay, so they basically took it down about an hour before we were ready to fly, but we got a chance to catch some of the sun going down, and at the same time, Eddie Nunez and I think Billy Kyle and William Galland were all over in Jersey, over at Morris Canal. But they had a better chance than us of flying the buildings because we had to fly to the side to get the 2 lights. They had the 2 lights separately. Maddie's Drone World, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Very much appreciated. Appreciated very much, man.
Thank you, man. Well, you know what? You see what the thing with catching those lights, and I realized one thing from Brooklyn. Unless you got a spot to go to that's close by, you catch it from the backside looking into Jersey.
Yeah.
Always going to catch that backside looking into Jersey regardless. But anyhow, looking at it, you'd have to get out too far. That's that picture. You'd always have
That's true. We didn't have to go out far at all to catch the shots that we did.
Well, see,
Hey, little llama.
Unless you take that picture from another angle, or from the closer you get to it to get that shot,
Yeah.
you're getting it from the back angle of it, from the total opposite side of it.
You're right.
Because
I'm getting it from behind.
The best vantage point from Brooklyn would be the promenade.
Hey, Jackson RC. Hey, Draymond. You see the picture behind me?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
where
good.
the lights are on the other side, if you look over across the water, because I can't put my hand up there because it'll disappear, but across the water where the dark spot is, that's Jersey. That's where Billy Kyle and like 5 or 6 other drone pilots were over at. We were on this side, and I specifically chose this side because I knew everyone would be flying from the other side.
Okay. Well, it sounded like you guys had it pretty organized. I mean, you guys were keeping track of the PFRs and everything else.
Dude,
like
dude, in New York, we don't play. As soon as he stepped foot on a plane, we charge batteries. Tell him, Herman. Tell him we don't play. Hey, Fly Guy Merle, what's up, man? I was out flying all week and got some cool footage. I look forward to seeing some.
All right.
But we you know what? We've been doing it for a while. It's the rogue pilots that we have to worry about. Like out here where I live, there's 1 or 2 rogue pilots that they're trying to catch. Okay. Right. And they're even trying to say, why don't you hang out down here and hopefully he'll introduce himself to you. That kind of catch. Okay, that's how bad. And yeah, seriously.
Is that the old we'll give away free TVs and Mets tickets? Come down and pick them up.
Oh yeah, we're giving away a free TV today, right there behind that door.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
what are
Yeah.
those? But we
You remember that one?
Oh, that's the original series of Cops.
Hey Paul Murray, how are you, man? What's up? Grant Ariels, Gary, how are
Mhm.
you?
Lawrence, you don't remember that one?
Yes, I do.
Well,
Yes, I
that's
Yeah.
said
why I
you
thought it
they
was
was
so
going in
funny.
for a flat screen TV.
Uh-huh.
Don't have a pot to piss in, but you're going to pick up a flat screen TV. Yeah, I remember that.
But the reason I want to congratulate you guys on keeping track of what's going on and being careful, because I don't know if you guys saw Dono's little clip he did the other day where the
Yes, I did. You got the
FAA
call
called
from
him.
the FAA, called him.
And I thought that was an outstanding job of what he did by recording that call and the interaction
Yes.
between him and the FAA
Yep.
representative. Because, like I said, all it takes is somebody to tag you out and say, hey, this guy's doing this, that, and that. And if you're not on top of your game like Bobo was, say, hey, I'm this, I'm doing that, and all this kind of stuff. Find yourself in a lot of hot water real fast.
True.
It is true, but we've been doing it for a while, and it's to the point now where if we have meetups and don't even know we're having meetups. I mean, I'll tell Herman Herman will say we're going somewhere, and then we'll tell one person, and then that person will tell one person, and before you know it, there's like 5 or 6 guys there. That's okay, because as long as we communicate altitude, there was one guy that came with us last night. That came, Xavier, Drone X Factor, came and met up with us, but we were done because there was one time and point. I'm gonna point. If you look at up in this picture over my right hand shoulder, which is on your left, guys, you'll see a red light here, and then you'll see a white light, like looks like a floodlight that looks like the moon in the picture. That's actually a helicopter floodlight taking off. Herman will tell you they were busy last night because in New York Harbor, if you pay a tourist helicopter pilot an extra $300 to $500 tip for himself, he'll swoop down and give you an extra close look at the Statue of Liberty. So what they do is they take off and go to an altitude of 300 feet, and then they start ascending past that. They transition past that, and
Okay.
it was interesting last night. We saw one helicopter as low as 125 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So now keep in mind, we had to navigate. Rob C had a strobe on his drone. We fairly stayed. We stayed within reason. Everything was cool. No, there were no accidents, no near misses, anything like that. So for all you people that say you cannot fly in New York City,
Well, the only issues I had with
wish
it
I
was
lived
that
closer to you guys. Can't seem to get my drone buds to venture out much. Yes, and Ron, you're right. NYPD was so busy last night. First of all, you have most of the
what
rookies,
were they?
the rookies and the new cops are doing most of the work on 9/11 because a lot of the cops and firemen that are veterans are going to these memorials and these events. They had events all over New York as well as around the United States, So police officers were going to dinners and it was a big thing yesterday in New York City.
Somebody got to work,
True.
but
Well,
hey
I'm
Paul,
just
what's up, man?
looking. Yes, Paul Murray's
Oh,
in
Murray.
Little Llama Laura, the fly guy Merrill. He was saying that he wish he looked closer to us. Can't seem to get his drone buds much to venture out. I feel bad about that. And Angie, the official, I don't know. I'll come up with something later. Hey, Angie. How are you?
Andrew.
So what's up, Draymond? What's going on, man? We talk a
Oh,
little while before we get into the news and stuff.
yeah, I'm just another 100-degree plus day in Southern California. I think we're on day 67, almost 70 days straight, over 100 degrees.
Wow. But I'm glad you came on here to acknowledge something because the fact that we waited for the no-fly zone to go down. And now I will admit there were probably pilots flying if they could get their bird off the ground and stuff like that. But hey, Mike, what's up, Night Train? But to be honest, for the most part, most of the drone pilots in New York City want to follow the rules and often do. And I'm glad of that. Because if they didn't, right, Herman, you would hear about it more.
Who? What? Huh? What?
Well, that's why I want to acknowledge that you guys were on top of it. You guys were checking Skywatch and other apps that you know what the TFRs were going at that time, and did things the right way. So that way you show other people it can
And
be
we
done.
communicated that.
Well,
Right.
see, that's why I always, when guys ask, I said, you know, the first thing you should do, truthfully speaking, is pick up Sky Vector, because a lot of those other apps cater more towards you as a drone pilot.
That's good, Night Train.
And Sky Vector is for every pilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So get that, because that would show you, that would actually show you where all of them are around the world. You just pick a spot.
Right, because I just used it because I got a job coming up. We just had a wildfire about 20 minutes from my house over in the off the 15 freeway. We had a wildfire there about 3 weeks ago, and sometimes those TFRs can last for like 30 days, 90 days. You know, because they never know, you might have a reignition of fire or that kind of thing. So I had to use the Sky Vector. Plus I go to the FAA page, and I use about at least 3 different sources to make sure in case something missing on one, I verify it with another.
Right. Hold on a second. I'm sorry for interrupting, Draymond.
All right.
Aviano Ariel, that's Robert C. You guys know him on Facebook. He says, we fly hard and we fly safe. Lawrence and I look like 2 salt and pepper cops because we had the vest on, and I'm black, he's white, and a guy stops his bike and he sees us with our radios with the displays. Now I'm aiming down the street because I'm doing a run straight down the street where we were at, so I can get us to set up for the next shot. And the guy, he stops on his bike and he says, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You guys are cops?" And we go, no, we're flying drones. He says, "Oh, because it looks like you're checking people for radars with that device you got."
Yeah, I get that a lot. You know, you're in your vest and you got this big old controller, and they think I'm out there checking like speed radar trap or something.
That's who I thought you guys were on the corner, was the
oh yeah. Hey, Rob C, tell Rob what you told me when you saw the cops, when what you were saying when you pulled up.
Oh no, when I saw the cops around the corner, I was wondering if they were the one, if they were stopping you guys from flying. But then when I came around the corner and I saw his truck there, and I saw you all standing on the corner from down the street, I was like, damn, the cops are back here too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But Fly Guy Merrill says the no-fly zones almost every weekend. In his area, I have to drive out of the zone. I'm apparently 25 miles from the President Biden's residence. Now, see, just on GP, I would have to move. Nothing to do with the president.
The next election, huh?
Nothing to do with the election of president. That's too damn close for me not to be able to fly.
But what I'm saying is, it's only going to last for how many years?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To the next election.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine? Hey, show, what's good, man? How are you? Welcome to the stream. But anyway, Draymond, I appreciate that very much, man. I take drone flying seriously. You know, Herman does. A lot of people do a lot of stuff when it comes to this drone stuff, you know, and everyone that I knew, that was flying last night was responsible.
That's great to hear.
And to the point where we literally, Draymond, knew that those guys were coming at the tower from this way and would not venture over towards us. And we were coming at the tower from behind and would not venture towards them. But we couldn't because of the helicopter traffic. But we had flight radar 24 out. You could click on a helicopter. Oh, he's at 300 feet. Oh, this one these guys were flying. And I'm like, yo, he's at 300 feet. He's descending. Usually when they're descending, they're swooping down towards the Statue of Liberty. They come around with this little island called Governor's Island. And they swoop around that. and they catch a front facial view of the Statue of Liberty. And the lowest copter did it at 125 feet above the water.
Right. And I can say they always concerned about us
Hey, Corey.
in flight, but you guys dip down and below 500 feet like it's nothing.
Listen, there was no need to go any higher.
Right. Well, that's true for the nightlife.
You know. And you want to know what?
I didn't go where they were taking off.
Go because we kept seeing helicopters at 300 feet. I didn't go below above 300 feet. I had 300 feet. One time they said helicopter at 400 and change. I dropped down to like 200 and started making my way back. And we're pretty familiar with that area. There are a few, there's where we were flying from, there's actually a cargo shipping company, you know, the tractor trailers. Well, this particular company shipped to the island specifically. I'd say maybe 70-80% of those blue barrels you see in Brooklyn and or wherever coming from Queens, they go through that shipping company to send down to the islands, all of the islands. But
now I have a quick question. Was anybody flying either the Air 2 or Air 2S with the ADS?
An Air 2S? I was flying one, Herman was flying one, and Rob C was flying a 2 Pro.
How did the detection system work out for you guys?
Well, I will tell you this.
Herman had a problem.
It worked. It worked.
Hey, Ray Kelly.
And I've experienced it with the tablet and the stock controller.
Hey, Bill.
And I've experienced it with the smart controller. And the issue I have with the smart controller, for some reason, I don't know, I don't understand this. But using the app on a tablet and the stock controller, I have better range, it seems to me, with the I don't know if it's I don't know what it could be with the app on the smart controller, but after a certain distance, you start to get like it can get laggy depending on where you are.
Yeah, well, that's been a known issue with the smart controller way back.
My biggest problem
range.
I
was just concerned with the amount of air traffic you guys are dealing with the number of helicopters. Was it able to pick up multiple helicopters at one time?
Pick up every single one of them, and that's what I was trying to say with the smart.
Yes.
With the smart controller, and constantly picking that up and trying to function all of that going on. It became laggier.
Right.
You understand?
Because there were times.
There were times. And
go ahead, Herman.
At one point, at being at 200 feet and the helicopter taking off and being at 100 feet,
yes,
that thing starts going crazy. And then it becomes an issue of trying to move away from the area, trying to get back. It's a little weird with it. It doesn't.
Well, what I noticed on Herman's screen with the smart controller was every time there were as many as 5 helicopters. 3 of them were at 1,300 feet. One was at 1,600. One was at 1,800, and they were orbiting the lights, of course. And then you had the tourist helicopters that were taking off maybe every 15 to 20 minutes. And they would, instead of transitioning from takeoff to that 300-foot height, they would kind of stay at that 300-foot height and cruise over to the Statue of Liberty. Usually during the day, they would take off and transition above 300 to 400 feet to about 6, go over to the Statue of Liberty and do their fly around. But at night, like I said, you're drinking, you tip the pilot next to $300 to $500, he'll swoop extra low. Our main issue was, at most of the time, somebody was on Flight Radar 24, and I recommend this app. And hold on. There's the news tip of the day. Download Flight Radar 24. It's one word. It's a beautiful app. It'll show you every plane in the air, every helicopter. It'll show you the altitude.
Government.
It shows you the speed in knots. And that's what we use to navigate with as many as 5 helicopters at a time while we were flying our drones in legal airspace.
It
Because
just
we
won't
give
give
them
you
the,
government.
once you know their flight plans, Roger passed his Canadian Advanced Pilot Test. Congratulations to Roger and the Canadian Drone
Yeah, I
Hub.
found that out.
Outstanding, Roger.
You get a cheer there for you, Roger. I don't know where you're at, but congratulations to you for passing your test as a pilot in Canada, advanced pilot. That's official. But getting back to what we were saying, it's not easy because not everybody could fly. Because someone had to be on their phone looking at that app at all
Right,
times.
right.
And then
Somebody had to be mindful of going on.
Rob C. Aviano, he's in the chat. He was there with us also. He is not too comfortable flying with more than 2 or 3 people anyway. So once Xavier had got there, Herman was already on his way back. I was already on the ground. Rob C. had came back and said, "You're right. That is a great app, Third Eye." And if you're using that app, Flight Radar 24, I can tell you, if a plane shows up that says NA to NA, it usually shows a destination, a takeoff in a destination airport in that app. Okay, and what happens is if you see a takeoff from JFK and it says NA, well, obviously they don't want you to know where they're going, or that's either military or law enforcement. If
Like
you
I
see
said,
it says NA to NA, it's definitely government.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Can't see any
government. But
government stuff going on. No
it will
government.
tell you each and every plane that's in the air. You know what? I'm gonna see. Damn, we haven't even got to a news story yet. I'm gonna see if I can download Flight Radar 24 to my computer to show you guys. I live in New York City and I can see every airport
Really?
in the New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut area.
Well, you know what? If you move a little to the left or a little to the right, you could end up in the airspace of either one of the 3.
Yeah. Yes. It's true. Hold on. They do have it. Flight Radar 24 app.
That's why
I'll be able to show you guys.
There's a lot of Brooklyn that's wide open, though.
Check this out. We're going to diverse from the news, Herman, a little bit, but I want to show these guys Flight Radar because this is a tip of the day. Get this app, download it to your damn phone. I'm going to show you how intricate this app is. Right now, it shows.
Are we sponsored by this app?
No, unfortunately, we're sponsored by those guys. But this is the United Kingdom. I'm trying to mute this window.
That doesn't work too well for us here in America.
I know. I'm trying to find where I'm at, my location. View map. Okay, let's search. Let's do a search here real quick. New York City.
There you go, JFK. You missed it.
I-T-Y. It did show.
It came up.
It did show JFK Airport.
You're supposed to click on that.
Let me try that. Hold on. But see on the app, there's an arrow you can click on, and it takes you straight to where you're at.
Yeah, as soon as you said New York City.
Here we go.
JFK.
Here we go. Here it is. JFK International Airport. It'll switch to. These are all the planes in the air right now. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm along this peninsula right here. You click on it. It tells you the type of plane right here. It's from Georgetown going to Farmingdale. Okay. You click on these planes. There are planes there at the airport. You can click on a plane on the runway ready to taxi out. This one's landing right here. This one's coming from Boston, landing in JFK right now. His altitude, where, see, they don't show that stuff on here. But anyway, you get the gist of it.
Yeah, you got to find it.
Now, to show you where we were last night, we were right here. Right about here.
Yeah, there we go.
Right about that area where my hand is.
A little further back, but.
And I haven't updated, but you basically get the gist of it. It shows you all that air traffic, what the planes are doing. The altitude is a freaking great program. Third Eye says, I love that app. You can track aircraft. So if your friend says he's on the runway at LAX about to take off, you can actually go to that LAX airport and look and see, click on the planes on the runway, and it'll tell you whether that plane's going to New York or not. And you can tell him whether he's bullshitting you or not. It's that detailed. It's that detailed, you know, but downloading the app, check it out. It's what's that? What's that, Herman?
To see you can hold up a sign for him to see when he's passing by in the window.
Draymond, are you familiar with that app?
I'm looking at it right now as you're talking, and I just tapped on my air. I've seen it before, but you know, I don't get a lot of air traffic like you guys do, so I didn't really need it. I had an older phone, so I was trying to save space, and I got rid of it, so I just reinstalled it on my phone now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't get as much as. That's why I was concerned about how did the ADS system work on the for the.
It worked very efficiently. It worked very, very efficiently, Draymond. When I say efficiently, you know the map that's in your lower left-hand corner on the fly app?
Right. Uh-huh.
When a plane got too close, or helicopters, there were no planes. The planes were really high, but the helicopters, his map around the perimeter of the map would glow red. Right, Herman?
Mm-hmm.
It would say aircraft approaching, and it would glow red, calling attention to that map. Mm-hmm. Now, what I would like to see in an app in the future, and I'm sure it's coming, is with remote ID, that actual something similar to Flight Radar 24. So when it says aircraft approaching, the map could actually zoom to that aircraft and show the distance between you and that. And they're actually working on stuff like that. It's just a matter of when it's going to come out.
Well, that would be interesting to see because, like I said, last night, the thing that was the most problem is that if you keep in mind how it works, it's constantly reminding you to fly at a safe altitude when it picks up manned aircraft. So, like I said, with me being over that pier behind your back there,
yeah,
at 200 feet, the problem with that now is, keep in mind talking about the lag that it has.
Mm-hmm.
Having to constantly deal with,
which is a problem.
It thinking that you are not flying at a safe altitude because that helicopter is taking off from across the water at 150 feet climbing.
Right.
You see what I'm saying to you? And you're at 200 feet. That thing is lighting up.
Now, here's also something, Draymond, that I'd like to point out. 9 out of 10 helicopters in New York City can see us. Okay. And Herman and I have experienced it enough to the point where we were talking about it last night. Herman, if you want to go into it, what was happening? Can they see you? Yes.
Well, I don't know. Let's see what happens when a remote ID comes, because I can see, like I said, I see it now. Remote ID come when they know who you are. If they'll call your name out over the PA system.
Matty said he wished that the 80SB would show the altitude of the aircraft. Hopefully one day it is coming, but there are companies out there that are offering that.
Well, in a small harbor like that, like I said, I'm just glad that DJI hasn't set it up or hasn't programmed it to where it's that it would auto land you or something like that.
Oh, stop. Shh. Stop it.
Don't get them no ideas.
Thank you, Draymond. Thank you, man. Don't give them no damn ideas on that one. I wish I could go back and record that part of the stream, erase that part of the stream, because it's almost...
You can find it in there and take it out.
But
what I'm saying is that, like, you know, with the...
We're going to change up the topic. We're going to change up the topic a little, Herman.
It does keep lighting up.
Instead of doing that first story, I want to do that B4UFly story.
Actually,
because for those of you, since we're talking about apps, and we did talk about the Flight Radar 24, I'd like to let you know, for those of you who do not use the B4UFly app, it has saved me. It has saved me a lot of headache, a lot of argument, a lot of trouble by taking a screenshot showing that I have authorization to fly in this spot where I'm standing from this time to this time. I've had police officers telling me, "You mean to tell me that that plane passing over you, you're still able to fly here?" And I'm like, "Yes, because I have before you fly." Well, I did this as an experiment, and this is why I picked this story also. Before you fly updates lets drone pilots inform others about flight location. Now, I want you to listen very closely to this because it's informing others about flight locations. Before you fly gives you this option now. Okay.
So basically, what you're making is like a personalized, or basically I don't know, like
You're
a kind of a DROTAM.
yes, exactly. You're helping the FAA and other drone pilots around you know through situational awareness what location that is. Like last night, like I said, I experimented and they had it's called notify and fly function. And before you fly. Now what it'll ask you is your name. The first time you do it, it'll ask you your name, your email, stuff like that for the app. And
You get mail.
what you're doing by filling out this notify and fly function in before you fly, you're agreeing to let them know that, hey, the spot where we were last night, we were flying as recreationalists. So I marked it as a spot for a recreational spot. It also will let you know if you're a commercial pilot that that spot is where, if you open up, say Draymond opens up before you fly on the other side of the field where we were, on the other side of the cargo container yard where we were, he would see as a commercial pilot that we were recreational pilots flying there at that spot.
Okay.
Okay, now what I like about it is it says allowing drone pilots to inform others about their flight location. And when I say flight location, listen to the words closely. It's not saying Lawrence or Draymond or Herman is standing in that spot flying. It's saying that that location was last flown by a recreational or commercial pilot.
Right.
Okay, and I think that's informative. So when you open up your Before You Fly app, I may see 3 blocks from me, somebody did a commercial job over there, or they may still be doing a commercial job, but you get the gist of it. They're
Right.
not
It's
releasing
basically
any.
good for knowing the conditions or what may be going on in the area.
Exactly.
Because the
From
biggest problem with flying in a certain place, like take for instance, the other night, we knew what was going on the other side of the river.
yes,
We knew what was going
exactly.
on this side of the river.
Exactly.
So we
Exactly.
had no problems there. It's like when you go someplace and you want to fly your drone, but you see another drone in the area, but you don't see the pilot. You see what I'm saying? And that's when it becomes a problem because you don't know what he's doing. You don't know what you're
Well,
doing.
exactly. You remember we were flying the that 4-star hotel. What's the name of that? The Van something. Herman and I, Draymond, were flying a
Yeah, I
4-star
kind of remember
hotel,
the name
right?
of that.
Mhm.
And we had just finished landing, and before you fly, had we marked this spot as a recreational spot for recreational drone pilots to fly, maybe the drone pilot that flew over our head at
Maybe,
45
maybe
feet.
not.
Right, true. Maybe the drone pilot that flew over our head at 45 feet, 50 feet would have used the Before You Fly app and saw that, hey, that's a spot where people are flying from. Let me be careful in that area. Do
Well, that
you
goes
use
on the
it?
same, goes along
Do
the same
you
thing as
use
remote
it?
ID.
Huh?
That goes on the same thing as remote ID. That until we get a signal that broadcasts out on the same frequency that the other pilots have, that'll be like remote ID. That somebody is in the air at this altitude.
Right.
Well, this article also goes on to say that in the new version of Before You Fly, it still locates users on the map and provides information on airspace restrictions and stuff like it usually does. But it also acts as an interface for Lance. Low altitude authorization
Right.
notification capabilities for pilots positioned in a restricted area. With Notify and Fly, it takes situational awareness down to an individual level. Meaning, if we can get more pilots to use before you fly, before you know it, excuse the pun,
Hmm.
you would be able to, you pull out that app and say, hey, this is recreational spot. You know how people are always asking, where can I fly?
Right.
Hmm.
This would help. This app would say, okay, you can fly in this area, but that spot over there is safer for you to fly because other pilots have taken off from that spot. So I'm going to use Notify and Fly my next time I do go out and fly and see what happens with it. Because I use Before You Fly anyway to get authorization. So that way I can take a screenshot. And if anyone decides to run up on me, I can say, hey, check this
Well,
out.
it's funny that you mentioned that though, Lawrence, because Before You Fly, which actually was launched in 2019, right,
Yep.
is used in over 13 million airspace, but is currently processing over 800,000 each month
Mm-hmm.
authorization for airspace clearance. So
That
more
means there's a
pilots are
lot of
using it.
people. Yeah, it helps the flight feel more comfy when you know. Exactly, Angie. When you Lost Girl Hikes, when you know that you can fly in an area, you're a lot more comfortable. You're 1,000 times more comfortable. I used to be one of those people that, how fast can I get my drone up in the air before these guys get up in the air? Now, now I take my time. Herman, Draymond, if you've ever met Herman before now and you went to a meetup, Herman is always the last one in the air. And I came to see why, because by the time he gets in the air, everyone else is done.
Now, getting back to what you're talking about, the B4Fly app. Now, like Herman's saying, 4 or 5 years ago, what you're talking about would have been great because now the cat's out of the bag. Because me as a commercial pilot, if I'm using drone deploy, it has its own Lance authorization program embedded in that. Go through the Airbus UTM program,
Mhm.
and I can get authorization right there on the spot using drone deploy right there on the spot if I need it. So that's the only different things. You have different apps using different services. If we had just one service that combined, or at least that combined all this information, then like you say, no matter which one I actually use, it'll be AirMap, Before You Fly, or whoever else is out there giving them a last authorization, all could have the information at one time.
I agree with you. And
Right.
fortunately, a lot of these apps that are out there, Aloft, Air Map, Before You Fly, they are all assigning themselves to Lance, which is most
Yes.
important. And JSK says Herman really takes his time. I witnessed that myself. Yes, yes,
So
dude.
you got to make
Draymond,
sure.
Draymond, Draymond. I've been to meetups. I've seen Herman show up the same time I have, and I've burnt 2 batteries, and he's still putting his harness on. He's taking his time, but it's true when he goes up in the air. Usually, everyone else is done flying, and
And you
Wow.
know what? I hear about the interference that's over there and the interference that's over there.
right, because a lot of people
And
don't,
and and then also ask those guys that have sent their drones back because they burnt the gimbal motor up because they forget the lens cap on.
Mm,
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
You know, I've
yep.
never had that repair. Why?
yeah.
Because I've learned from their
Takes
misery.
my time.
I learned from their
It's
misery
true.
to take it off.
You see what
Yeah.
Rob C put, Aviano Ariel? He puts Herman moves slow, but with authority.
Authority.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very, very
Oh
true.
man.
But you know, I'm all about. I seriously believe. Yep, Rhode Island was definitely an example of Herman getting into the air. See, everyone's got to see how Herman sets up and stuff. There's no rush, and I see why there's no rush. All those guys, and when you're studying for the 107 test, they tell you there are those guys that got to get out there and get out first.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm learning that Herman has taught me quite a few things over the years, you know, as
Yeah.
far as
I'll be the guy that sends my drone up and says, "Yeah, I see your drone. It's down over there and down in the corner down by the creek."
half in the water. Hey, did you see what JSK put? It took Herman 10 minutes to put on his harness and then 10 minutes to hook up the tablet mount. You know, hey, listen, I'm not mad at him. Seriously, I'm not mad at him. I'm learning from him. There's a lot of stuff that Herman does, and I'm like, right, Rob, see, use a checklist and each and every time. And you know what's messed up? I believe in that 100% because when I was using a checklist, I didn't have problems. When I skipped the checklist and tried to do it from memory, things happen.
Yeah.
Like I used to fly a 3DR solo, and what happens is if you put the props on wrong and it's like this, and you get to take off, it goes and starts grinding on all of its prop upside down.
Yeah.
It will literally flip over and grind like that until you shut it off. At my age, I need a checklist, Ray Kelly says. Ray Kelly, I know someone that forgets to put his sticks in the controller. Damn.
Wow.
Now that's bad.
And I tell you what, Lawrence, I think a lot of people, because a lot of us go out and want to buy the latest and newest thing that's out there, and it's almost like Christmas all over again. You want to hurry up, get your drone up in the air and fly and see what it can do, see what you can do with it, and so forth. And Herman's been flying these Phantoms, 5-6 years and so forth, and flying other drones. It's old hat. It's comfortable. He's comfortable with it. You don't have to hurry up and see what it's going to do.
Drone views.
He knows what it's going to do.
You know what?
Exactly.
Lawrence, it also is that, like, from my regular job, when you set up things at work, if it's not set up properly, people can get killed.
Oh yeah. Those of you don't know that you got to say that you are a licensed electrician.
Well, I'm an electrician.
So that's important.
And it's like when you set up certain things on a construction site, if it's not set up properly, things can break loose, people can get hurt.
Yep.
So I've learned from, taking my time and making sure, so forget about rushing to get it done. Make sure you get it done. It's better to make sure that everybody goes home.
True. Yeah. It's very, very true. But we skipped one story, but this is a story we have to get to. Those of you who have heard of Brendan Schulman, he worked at DJI for 6 years for the innovation and progressive regulation of technology. And I'm going to repeat that. Regulation of technology usually means somebody's writing laws involving drones and tech like that. Well, he just resigned, from DJI and happened to pick up a spot at Boston Dynamics. But he goes on to say that how I'm disappointed how I feel politicized the industry has become in the past few years. Well, here's what I'm trying to point out with the story. He used to do a job that had to do with progressive regulation of technology, right? And then he left because of how politicized the drone industry has become in the last few years. But I'm scrolling down to the bottom here. I'm trying to find it. I should have highlighted or something. But he left for a job to join Boston Dynamics as vice president of policy and government relations.
Right.
Same job, new title.
Yeah, basically. Basically.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. But my thing is, he says, I will be joining Boston Dynamics as vice president of policy and government relations. The agile mobile robots stemming from its 30 years research and development are starting to interact and bring benefits to society. Well, this is true.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's not dive in so much the fact of the Boston Dynamics side of this, but from reading what he wrote, I guess it's like a letter to his
Hey Joe, welcome.
His former colleagues over at DJI. I'm looking at it, and and from what I was, from the way I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong if you didn't see it this way, but he saw it something was is like there's a stranglehold on the of somewhat on the process of the going forth of with this hobby and the things that's attacking it and the way they're going about it is part of the reasons for him wanting to go on to other things.
Right, but
Because he was also on the wasn't he also on the committee with the
I know where you're going.
yeah of the with the FAA on their input on
He's one of the people that
programs
had
they
a lot
put
to
together
say with what's going
saying
to
how
happen
they were going
to the drone community. Yeah,
Well,
and if you
not,
notice,
not so much, but
well, he left there. Ortel left because of, how would you say, so-called political
the
reasons.
issues that was going on with their company, no one really knows. But
True,
from
but a lot of
reading
people
what I
seem to,
read in this letter or whatever he wrote, or if this is what he wrote, I just think that in the position where he was as far as being on that committee with the FAA and this suggestion making towards the things they were going to do with remote ID and so such and so forth. I just find that reading this letter and saying what he said about the things that are going on with the hobby,
right.
and for those that that have their voice to use their voice, I just find that I think that maybe he finds that there's something coming that people may or should be aware of, and I don't know if it's
That's what I think.
I don't want to come out and start a mass hysteria that the end of the hobby is here based on what he said.
Right, because obviously
But
it's not.
no, but he didn't make it sound good because based upon where he was with the this committee with the FAA, he's privy to more information than you are and I.
True, of course.
Well, based upon what you're reading, Herman, what I'm taking from this is that one thing is the usage of the word hobby. This is no longer just a hobby. When you get to the government levels. This is, and that's why I said before, over last year and the year before, I think I put a video out right when I passed my
here comes Tom.
back in 2019, was that the fact that we have a trust test. Okay. Right. I was talking about that back in 2018, 2019, about testing for recreational pilot. So now it's two ways you look at this. We're going to be more regulated through testing and responsibility as far as registration and so forth, but it also puts us on the same level as an aircraft pilot, regardless if you're flying for a commercial profit or you're just flying your own little Cessna. Because like I say, even you go in your own plane, you're flying a Cessna, whatever else, you have certain regulations you have to abide by. Those guys got to take physicals every year. They got to do all kinds of tests, subject to all these different things, that they're raising the bar on this activity. I only like using the word hobby anymore. It's just activity. They're raising the bar. That you hear about somebody who has their private pilot license. Your first thing in your mind is, oh, he is an actual pilot. This is not just fun and games. This is real deal. Right. So that's why I think we're seeing here that it's going to be an elevation of our status, and then those who want to follow suit can come along for the ride. But everybody else who does not want to participate, we're going to find things a little more regulated and a little more harder to go out and have fun.
I totally understood that from when this thing came into conception.
Yeah.
I'm just saying from when he's looking at his letter, I just don't want people to come out and think that, that's what he's saying. I just find that there's a lot of things coming down the pack. It's no longer going to be just, oh, let me just fly my drone. You are going to be just like a pilot. There's a lot of responsibility is going to be involved.
Yeah, and it might come down to the thing that if you live near an airport or whatever, you might have to submit a flight plan like regular pilots do. Who knows? It could go that route.
Well,
And that's where this Lance and what you guys are talking about.
When you look for clearance anyway.
Right, and that's just what I'm saying with Lance and other apps that you guys were just talking about in the last segment, is that we, by submitting for Lance and submitting for this whatever, we're putting our location and said this is my flight plan. But that's the verbiage that is used when you submit for Lance, is a flight plan.
Mhm.
I'm flying in this area. That is my flight plan, and I will be here for the next 30 minutes to an hour or whatever. Well, you just gave me your flight plan right there and your location when you submit it. If you have to use Lance. Now, Lance can start being turned over. You have to submit through Lance for no matter what airspace.
But Draymond,
they
if
want
you
to.
remember, Draymond, before Lance was initiated, we had to call the airport. Hey, Tom, what's up? We had to call the airport and let them know we were in an area and we were taking off, what altitude, et cetera, how long we'd be in the air.
Right.
So it's not any different. They've just
No different.
digitized what we used to have to do.
Yeah, but like I said, I was always for controlled airspace. Now they start having this for no matter what classification airspace is, that raises for a whole different level. No matter if you're in class G, class D, A, B, whatever, you've got to submit a flight plan.
Mhm.
And that would change the whole ball game right there for a lot of people.
So here's one point, and I'll make one quickly. I'm sorry, gentlemen, it's been a rough weekend, but
Okay.
one thing I'd like to say is I don't know where the pushback here is, because as a pilot, you have to submit a flight plan, okay?
Right.
You don't just throw your plane. I don't take a ride out to Echo Ramp at Republic, jump in the 172, and just take off. It doesn't happen. Okay.
Right.
So this moaning and groaning about filing a flight plan is wearing, because what you have right now is the Wild West. The Wild West doesn't suit our needs whatsoever. All the Wild West does is perpetuate rogue drone operations that diminish the value of what we try to discuss on this show. Okay. So look, when I fly under Part 61 and I want to take off, I got to file a flight plan. Normally, I'll file that through my local flight service station, and they'll file it for me. Okay, but you're filing a NOTAM basically. At the end of the day, you're filing a NOTAM. Notice to other airmen: I will be here. I will be operating from here to here to here, and all I'm doing in manned aviation is I'm going, my plan is to fly, to take off from this location, to hit these 3 waypoints on my way to that destination. Now, when I get up in the air, I again confirm that flight plan with ATC. Okay. And when I talk to ATC, they know who the FIM, and they also can look up the flight plan. And I can say, hey, you know, I'm trying to get to, I'm a small plane. I'm trying to get to 3,500, okay, to fly to Romeo Delta. And they'll tell me, okay, we're going to clear you to Romeo Delta, or I'm going to take you to Nosami, and you have to fly, 30 miles out of your way. What you don't do is say to ATC, nah, I don't like that flight plan. I'm not going that way. They'll tell you to land. So, we don't have it that bad at all with this. We say we're going to operate within this area. We're going to operate for this set period. And then they give us authorization to fly in controlled airspace.
Okay.
That's a wonderful thing. And guess what? You can get that as a recreational pilot also.
Yep.
Now, what you wouldn't get as a recreational pilot was that it was okay to take off last night, because it wasn't. Okay. It was a TFR across the entire area. So let's not profess to be clean as the driven snow here.
You might say the whole eastern seaboard from DC all the way up to Connecticut.
Correct. From New York City to Shanksville, Pennsylvania to Washington, D.C. was one big, TFR.
Yep.
Okay. Instead of acronyms, that basically means at the end of the day, a no-fly zone. Okay. You had a former president in Shanksville. You had 4 presidents in New York, Speaker of the House, okay, Secretary of Defense. I mean, you know, without NYPD doing what they had to do and without the FBI doing what they had to do yesterday, that would have been one big risk, right? So I really am running short on patience of people going, oh, you know, I just want to throw my bird up. They can't watch me. I have rights. I have rights. Dude, okay, you have a right to take off your clothes and run naked through the streets. Why aren't you freaking doing that? You know, I hate to preach,
Very
but
valid
the
point.
truth.
Very valid point, Tom.
Okay. You don't want to wear a mask? That's okay. Don't stop at stop signs. Don't stop at red lights.
Oh,
See
you
how
know,
long that goes
I
on.
saw that in Atlantic City. They really don't.
Listen,
Well, no, Herman, come on. Brooklyn and Queens.
no,
Dude,
it's suggested
are-
that you stop
No,
in
no, no,
Atlantic
no,
City
no,
at the
Stop
light.
signs are like
no.
those yellow signs. You know, you get a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, but that corner coming up, you should only take it 30. Okay, that's only a cautionary sign. Okay. Yeah, that's a cautionary. Hey, stupid! If you take this one too fast, you're not going to make it. You know, we have regulations in place to protect us. You know who it's protecting us against? Us. Okay,
Yep.
protecting us from us, and believe me, we need that. Okay.
I tell
So-
people all the time, Tom, that your rights begin and end when they infringe upon the rights of others.
Of others, right? And where did societal responsibility go? Out the freaking window. We have a responsibility when we fly our drones to fly them safely, to make sure we bring no harm to others. Okay, that should be the oath that's tattooed across your forehead when you're born. Okay, do no harm to others.
I agree.
How do you do no harm to others? By acting responsibly.
That might not look good on some people.
Well, I think, dude, I think face tattoos are in now, right? I mean,
You know,
know?
like some people could cover that up.
not enough foundation, bro. Okay. Yeah, look, it really comes down to just, you know, thinking about others and thinking about yourself. You can have a life-changing event by flying your drone the wrong way. You understand that, right? Okay. You cause something catastrophic with that drone, I guarantee you, your entire life changes somewhat.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you know, it's like, hey, let's be smart, but let's be smart for each other too, because, you know, when you fly Herman, it's a reflection on me and Lawrence and Draymond, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the way I always look at it. We're representatives of each other in the space. And this group right here, you know, we're all in the mindset of each one teach one. You know, civilian comes up to us while we're flying, okay, we'll respectfully engage them quickly, let them know we're flying and we can't be distracted. But when we land, hey, we'll show them. Or if there's another one of us nearby, like I do with Eddie sometimes, you know, I'm the ambassador to the screen. Hey, look at what he's doing over his shoulder. You know, that's showing a level of responsibility where we want to get more people in and say, hey, what we're doing is the right thing. We're doing it for the right reasons. Okay. But nobody's peeping in anybody's window. I can't see your face from here. You know, and those things go a long way, but that's, we're doing it for each other. You know, it's not just self-serving. You know, be a little selfless here. Do it for one another. So when you put that drone up in the sky, be responsible, be smart about it. Because any bad press, it impacts all of us. And it impacts, you know, it goes further. It goes a lot further than the recreational flyer. It impacts all the good work being done out there. Right, Herman, we talk about it all the time with the humanitarian efforts that drones are being leveraged for.
True. Drones for good.
Right, drones for good. But when we do something stupid, we take away, you know, what was the saying in the military? Okay, 1,000 attaboys are wiped out by one shit. Okay, it's a fact
You
of
know
life.
what, Tom, what I will say is that, no, truthfully, going by all of the, and I know from the DJI app, from uh, Kitty Hawk to B4UFly, they all had the TFR down at 8 o'clock.
Before 8.
Most of them were down by 8 o'clock, not all of
Yeah.
them. Okay.
Yeah.
Most of them were down.
And see,
Okay.
this is what I want to point out, Tom. You mentioned something very important. With all this knowledge, which obviously a lot of pilots here in New York City have, a lot of pilots outside of New York City had. At one given time, last night while we were flying, we know there were 5 people in our spot, and there were about 8 to 10 people at another spot, and there were no incidents. Because both groups knew of where each group was,
Right.
and both groups knew their limitations as far as that airspace, flying along with manned aircraft, because we had to give way each and every time, which is what all of us did. The guys that were in New Jersey had less traffic than we had. They had traffic coming down the Hudson River, but we had the heliport right at South Street Seaport doing tours, Tom, that literally the guy took off at 300 feet, cruised at 300 feet around Governor's Island, and swooped down to a devastating 125 feet so people could get a facial shot.
Well, let me make one
Lower than
correction. There's
What
nothing
happened, bro?
devastating about 125 feet in a helicopter. It's a VTOL. Okay. Remember, a helicopter has a right to operate. Okay.
Yeah.
And it has a right to operate ahead of us. Okay.
Of course.
In preference. So the thing you have to remember with helicopters is this misnomer that they must fly at 500 feet. BS. What's one thing? What's the altitude? Let me ask you one question, because this is, to make the point. What altitude is our almighty ceiling here, right?
Our ceiling is 398, 95 feet.
400
whatever.
feet. 400 feet. Let's round up, okay? 400 feet, right? Okay. What is the one question that you'll always find on a Part 107 regarding that altitude? That it can be accepted, right? You can make an exception to that airspace if, in the pilot in charge's mind, that there's a safety issue that requires them to exceed that ceiling. Okay, you're allowed to exceed that ceiling for safety reasons. Okay, you're also allowed to exceed that ceiling as a Part 107 if you maintain, a radius within an object. You're allowed to fly 400 feet above that object. Okay. That doesn't mean you break Class B to do it. Because if you had to, if there was Class B, that impinged upon that, say, that radio tower or the wind turbine or whatever it is,
self-policing.
You wouldn't get a Lance approval probably.
But
then you'd have to go a different way to submit.
We did that, group and self-policing. As a drone pilot, it's your job to make sure that every other drone pilot around you knows where you are, what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. Look, situational awareness is key to survival.
Yes.
When you walk down the street, if you're not situationally aware, you're at risk, right?
You know what, Tom? That's why I didn't want Lawrence to not mention that first story he was going to go with, because
right.
Because it is
we can still bring it back up. I still have it in bookmarks. And the first story that we were going to do had to do with situational awareness. There's a company called Iris Automations and Becker Avionics.
I agree with you.
They seem to have teamed up to work specifically on detection and avoidance projects for planes and UAVs.
Well, see, now the reason why I like this story, what you mentioned with this thing here, is that talking about what me and Draymond were talking on earlier and where this whole thing is going. If you remember from the symposium from last year, they talked about the next step and where the FAA was going with this with their programs, and the commercial aspect of drone flight is where they are now with Beyond. And there was no way that commercial air flight was going to take place on, and they mentioned this in the symposium, until cameras got better. You needed to be able to have better detection devices for these things to be able to be in the air. And that's what I like with this story that you brought up here. That we got company that's working with this. Now we all know our drones have sensors and all that everything, and they work fine for what we do. You know, Lawrence, you're beating on the desk again, and then Lawrence, you're playing the drums again. And then
I'm sorry.
For these drones to be in
I'm
the
sorry. I get a little emotional when I'm typing. You know,
in commercial space, for them to be able to fly and do what they got to do, they need these devices like this to be able to work on their situational awareness, to be able to control their situational awareness in the sky with other objects, other aircraft, and guys like you and I that might be out there that's flying when they have to move. You know, we talk about, oh, these things got to fly at certain airspace, certain height, but there will always be a transition space, and that transition.
We saw that last night.
Well, that transition space will always be the space where we're flying. So
it will always be the space in which we attempt to fly from. Right. You are 100% correct there. And that's where we have to show the greatest level of responsibility. Okay. One thing we're not, and dispel it from your mind. Your drone is not the most important thing up in the sky. Not when there are souls on board manned aircraft.
I know how you feel about your $1,500 compared to how much money you earn every month, but when you got life up in the air, and you know,
exactly, manned aviation gets right of way. We got to stop discussing it and bemoaning it. Okay, or don't take that next trip to Florida. Okay.
Well, this
company here with these sensors that can be equipped on these drones.
You're talking about Becker Avionics? Yeah, Becker Avionics has been in basically, I didn't get to read any of the stories, but I kind of surmise what you're talking about. You're talking about Iris. So they had debuted some very groundbreaking stuff with the Iris automation stuff. And, you know, they had even, you know, as part of their case studies, I believe, if I remember correctly, you know, from National Transportation Safety Board, where most midair collisions occur from.
Right.
Okay?
Well,
and how they occur and all of that. And using that data to bolster the need for this kind of sensor avionics. Okay. It's basically avionics. It's ways
exactly what it is.
To detect collisions or to detect potential collisions or collision paths before
the
it's too
pilot
late, right?
knows about
when you
it.
have plenty of time to react. Yeah.
Yes, because they say that their objective is to offer dual optic, electric, and audio systems that can monitor airspace in visual flight conditions independent of radio-based signaling systems.
Yes,
in other words, they want you to get a warning before your drone or your plane, before the pilot of that drone or UAV realizes.
So that's called localized censoring. Okay. So it's leveraging local sensors within the aircraft to alert you of objects within proximity. So when we're so that if your radio communications to air traffic control goes down, if your glass in the cockpit goes down or your steam gauges go down, you know, you still have some method of warning. And most, you're taught that most collisions occur from, you know, from behind. Somebody's coming up on somebody and doesn't realize it. Now realize something. This is not when you say, well, how the hell does that happen? Can't you see out the windshield? If you've ever flown, you'll realize what you don't see is you don't see ahead of you. Okay.
Well, they have a stat, really quick, that says, according to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics,
Mhm.
1,450 near-miss collisions were reported from 2016 to 2020, with 82% of all collisions, like you said, coming from behind.
Yeah, but well, yeah, because look, most ground aviation accidents happen directly in front. Okay, so
True.
it's because you don't have visibility when you're in an aircraft. You're not sitting in your car looking out the windshield. Okay, when you look out your windshield, you're usually looking towards the sky. Because remember the attitude you must maintain in order to maintain flight. Okay, so
Mhm.
when that happens, you're looking up, so you can't see in front of you. You have to rely on your gauges. You have to rely on situational awareness around you. You have to rely on radar, and you have to rely on air traffic control, keeping you safe.
True.
Okay, so this kind of equipment is basically, think about what's been
Raymond, feel free
happening.
to jump in.
Okay, you have on our drones, right? We don't want to buy the next drone unless it has 2 more sensors than the previous drone had. So now this sensor technology that
You're right.
we're kind
I have
of
I have-
proving in our realm can now be leveraged in manned aviation's
But
realm.
Tom, I agree with you 100% because I have a problem with them coming out with new drones without sensors on the side. Stop coming out with Mavic series without sensors on the side.
Unless it's a Mavic
I
SE
flew, I
and
flew
you have a
Phantom
mini
4
SE and you have
professional.
extra parts left. Okay, come on now.
But listen, I flew a Phantom 4 professional, okay? And after having sensors on your side, trust me, they're needed on every drone. You may not intend on flying sideways, but you may have to.
Well, if you want the strafing shot, you have to, right? Depending on what kind of B-roll you're trying to
Well, see this
capture.
shot? See this shot behind me, Tom?
Yeah.
Where we were
Talking
by the
about a
Tesla.
money
We
issue.
were by the Tesla warehouse in Brooklyn. Now, in order to
And Red
get
Hook.
this shot, I had to strafe from left to right to get those 2 beams, or else it would look like 1 beam. Okay, now I know at night side sensors don't work, but I would like some kind of LiDAR or a system that works from the sides that lets you know in the dark or light there's something there.
You want all
It
this at
may
the same
come in the
price you're paying
future.
right now?
It may come in the future.
Exactly, Tom.
You better save up, buddy. You better
Exactly,
save
Tom.
up.
That's
There's a
exactly
new
what
bird coming to town real quick.
I
You
don't
know
have
that, right?
$16,000. A Walkera has one that sees night vision at night. Okay, that uses LiDAR. LiDAR works at night.
How does it fly?
I couldn't tell you. I haven't flown it. I've only seen an article with a sheik who recently brought a drone from Walkera that cost 16,000. It has sideways optical LiDAR as well as forward, and supposedly for $16,000, this thing is, like they say, the Titanic was unsinkable. Well, this is supposed to fly
I
just as
bet you my
nice.
MQ9 Reaper can definitely tear that ass up. Okay, so just saying. Okay, look,
No, we're talking.
if you can afford it, okay, that's one thing. What we're not going to get is all that technology shoved into the little Mavic package we have right now today. Now, tomorrow's a different story, right? We
I
now
was
have
interested, that he's talking about some chic bought it. What, 16,000? Was that
That's
in his
nothing, man.
ashtray? That's
that's
ashtray
a
money.
cheap sheet.
I was gonna say that's ashtray money.
That's ashtray, exactly. Yeah, that's nothing, man. Okay,
Let's say
that's
that's
a
an
tip for this
ashtray.
afternoon's lunch.
That's an
Ashtray money.
ashtray and a reaper.
Yeah.
That's an ashtray
look,
and a reaper.
we
Oh,
But they
we
don't have ashtrays.
we are going to reap
Oh,
the
they all smoke.
benefits. It's a matter of miniaturization. Look, guys, we have 2 barometers on our drones today.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, the majority of people that listen to us don't even know why they have one. Okay.
True.
So
True.
They
Okay.
just know it takes off and it comes back. When
it
I
takes
ask
off,
them.
it comes back, and there's nice stuff on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
It takes the pictures.
And for a segment of the
action.
population,
It worked.
that's as deep as it's going to get.
Hey, Tom.
When I hit the button.
Yeah. Hey,
Tom, I'm
Yeah.
so insulted when I see the video of the monkey flying an hotel or the monkey flying a drone. I'm so insulted because There are a few people in New York.
I think there's
that
a
I
video
know
out there with a
that
monkey
need to hand their
driving a
remote to
Tesla
that
too.
monkey.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I
Look,
agree.
look, look, look.
I
Look,
like the one with the
dude,
monkey in the trunk with a crowbar.
do you realize monkeys went to space
Exactly.
first? Okay. They've been flying a lot longer than us. Okay.
But yeah,
Remember, the
this,
first one got
say
strapped into a
all-
capsule.
All I'm gonna say is that after that, I'm just nice to any monkey that I see.
That's correct, man. That is correct.
listen, from what I understand, they like to rip
Wasn't me.
faces off.
I didn't
I'm
send
good.
you.
I'm good. If you,
Look,
you're
you know,
within-
sensor technology is important because it does put up a safety net. I mean, come on, when those sensors first hit our drones, okay, it was amazing. Now we take them for granted.
Well,
Okay.
if you remember, Tom, when they started really experimenting on us DJI drone pilots, the Mavic Pro.
Yes,
If you
had
remember, they
sensors.
introduced a lot of stuff to the
Yeah.
Mavic Pro, the ADBS or whatever you call
I
it.
beg to
They
differ
introduced that. They
because
would
the
show you
Phantom
with a
4
plane.
Pro was where a Phantom 4 Pro is where all of the features were unleashed from DJI.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Right,
that was
right.
before
But now,
the
now
Mavic
remember, you had
series.
sensor windows that looked like they were this big.
Right.
Now you're going to
They're
see
this
in
big.
the release of the next one that the sensors they can reduce the number of sensors
Well, it's shaping
physically
them
on the
differently,
drone
too.
by widening the view of those sensors
Right.
to create a better coverage area. Okay. Now some people go, oh yeah, I got less sensors on my drone, then why is it costing me so much? Because the technology they're employing is getting better and better and better. And at some point in time, there'll probably be just a little bubble on top of the drone and a little bubble on the bottom,
And
all
you can
doing
catch
sweeping
everything.
360 views, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's just a matter of time. Look, if any of you have the Insta360 Go-To camera, the thing is this big. Okay. And then it comes in a little package that is both the charger and the tripod
Yeah,
and the control.
yeah.
I mean, in a package that you could squeeze your fist and still not crush. It's that tiny. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
so all this stuff is starting to get smaller and smaller. And as a result of that, they'll be able to pack a lot more stuff in there. But believe me, they'll charge you all the way to the bank. Okay.
Mhm.
You ain't getting away cheap.
I could believe it.
Okay.
I could believe that.
These sensor technology is where it is needed, and it is very necessary for them to even take for all of the money that they're spending to go anywhere with commercial drone technology.
Well, and again, this technology, and we say, what we got going, it came from manned aviation,
Mhm.
but here is something that's going from unmanned aviation to manned aviation. So those of you that don't know, we're talking about them now looking at the sensor technology we've been using in UAS and transferring that technology into manned aviation. Okay. So that makes flight safer. That makes our flight safer, because if they can see us before we see them or vice versa, we can both get out of each other's way, right?
You want to know what, Tom? I really appreciate learning how to fly a drone in New York City as opposed to learning how to fly a drone out Midwest somewhere. And what I drumline.
There's that New
And
York
what I
bravado
remember,
coming through
what I
again.
remember about
Yeah,
what I mean by that is
Drayman,
New
tell him,
York.
stop that. Okay.
in New
Hey,
York.
look, flying in a cornfield, I know. We all say we all can do it. Okay.
No, but what I think, Lauren,
Flying over water, dodging basketballs, okay, pea shooters, okay, and 15
Drinking
of us
water from
all
the
trying to fly
fountain
at
in
the
a
same
public
altitude
park.
in the same direction at one time. Yeah, you gain some skill set there.
yeah, I guess that's what that's what Lawrence is talking about. It's like take
Yeah.
that guy
That's exactly
that's
what I
used
mean.
that's used to running and beating everybody on the dirt track. You put him on that nice soft
because
court track
it's
with nice
Raymond.
pretty shoes and everything like that.
That's right,
Raymond,
man.
Watch him
the
smoke
point I'm
everybody.
trying to make, Raymond, is learning how to fly drones in New York and compared to learning how to fly outside of New York is I always have my head on a swivel, even when I'm not flying a drone. I'm like,
He has his head on a swivel, Draymond, walking down the block. He has to.
yeah,
Okay.
in New York City, you better. You freaking
Or somebody's
better.
going to sucker punch him.
Was
Got to
was
be a
it-
select group because we all can't reach that high for him. Okay. So look, yeah, look, like anything else, the density, a population density, the physical density of infrastructure here, it all contributes to a very entertaining environment in which to leverage that very expensive drone you bought yesterday at Best Buy. So, yeah, we've seen problems in the area with those, right? I mean,
Well,
good thing.
Funny thing is,
Okay.
Tom,
What's
I don't
that?
hear as much about people in very urban area like the New York, Chicago's, Philadelphia crashing their drones into buildings and so forth. I hear more about guys getting caught in trees, hitting telephone wires, and in wide open areas, pretty much.
Well, the simple answer to that, Draymond, is there's too much other crap happening in the city.
Yeah.
Hey, we're very fortunate not to have too many slow news days because I'm pretty sure drones would take it on a bigger hit on the chin. Okay.
'Cause even the guy that hit the building downtown, he was from Texas visiting New York.
Well, yeah, true.
Right,
Okay,
right.
true.
When you
Okay.
hear of a crash in New York City,
It's usually
9
a
times out of
tourist.
10, it's a tourist.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
a tourist. Okay.
At least so far. So I'm a knock wood so far. You know what I'm saying?
And usually the response after the crash was, I didn't know it could fly that fast. But the thing we have going here is we're lucky the batteries, nobody knows the batteries aren't fully charged when you buy it at Best Buy. So otherwise they'd be breaking open the wrapper right in the parking lot.
Mhm.
But the good thing here, Draymond, is we don't always have Best Buys with parking lots. Okay. If you can imagine that. Okay.
Oh man,
They
That's what
might be at the
cracks me
ground
up.
floor on what is the one? There's one up over on what 6th Avenue and 21st Street. Okay.
You see it? You see what Drone View Media put? We're having a lot of people crashing into buildings here in Ireland. And but what are they
that's
doing?
because the pubs aren't spaced far enough away from each other in Ireland. Okay, that's the real problem. That's coming from.
What do you say?
Ireland,
What do you
by the
say,
way.
Tom? They have drink and fly pubs there?
Well, I'm just saying the pubs are too close. If you spread out the pubs, they might be able to miss the buildings. Okay.
There you go. There you go. It's
Oh.
strange because I wouldn't. Well, I don't keep up with drone news outside of New York unless it comes up in feeds. But it would be interesting to know what the stats are as far as drones crashing or pilots hitting buildings or trees or
Remember,
anything
there's
outside of the United States.
while there might be a regulatory requirement to report.
Mhm.
Have you reported your drone crash in the tree, Lawrence? No?
Yeah, I have a few on video.
No. Did you make an FAA filing?
Oh no,
I'm
no.
not gonna. No follow up on that question. I'm
No
just making a
speak
point
the
here
English,
that
man.
Well, technically, if it didn't cause any damage that cost a certain amount of
more than what?
what was it, like about $1 there, and then you had to,
No, it's
If no one
much
got
lower
hurt.
than that. And I would imagine just in this room alone, in this chat room,
and,
we probably have a few that were well above. Okay.
and it was
So
no
that's why I'm
bodily-
saying, Lawrence,
no
the only
bodily
thing I would
harm.
be suspect of is how good that data is. Okay.
Yeah,
Because the only data you're really going to get is commercial data.
this was
Okay.
all during the home
And
drinking.
only commercial
during
data that was
lockdowns.
truly commercial data and tied to an insurance policy somewhere where you get accurate, flight incident information.
Yeah, but there was no more than $100 worth. If you could even
It's
assess the damage
it's $500 and
to
your
whatever
drone cost.
whatever tree he might have landed in or whatever.
No, but
And-
flyaways. Your drone flies away. Guess what? That
No,
drone
you-
costs more than $500.
No, you're talking about here in this room.
No, well, I'm talking I'm talking about the entire chat we have right here.
I can't.
Is there no one in this room that experienced
meant
a
on the
flyaway?
You see
I
what
don't
Rob
want an
put?
answer to that. I'm
No
just
major
saying
no major injuries, and $500 does not include the cost of the drone.
you are required as a commercial
Well, no, you
flyer.
gotta
I'm not talking about
just fly
recreational
away.
guys. I'm talking about as a commercial flyer. You're required to report.
A flyaway,
Okay.
yes.
No, you're required to report incidents. Okay. Commercially. Okay. You're required to report. Okay. That's why we use software like Drone Deploy, okay, and stuff like that to track all our flights, make sure we're completely
free to-
compliant.
Feel free to super chat to get a pillow for Lawrence's keyboard.
No. Please. We're gonna do a GoFundMe site to get him a soft, soft
Yeah,
travel
you're
keyboard.
gonna give me the keyboard with pillows on each key or something?
He
What?
definitely has a mechanical gamer's keyboard.
Hey,
there.
Johnny
That's
Drone
what he's got,
Flyer,
and
what's
it's
up?
probably changing
Listen,
colors
guys.
as we speak too.
Listen, guys, we got to get the hell out of here.
Okay.
All right. It was a long night. I stayed up past my curfew last night. Got up this morning early. It's been a long day.
Okay.
Who's coming on live after us? Who's not coming on live?
Just about everybody comes on. I don't know.
Well,
There's a guide out there, thanks to Johnny Drone Flyer.
Yep.
Everybody can check their local guide for. Check your local listings.
there is a local listing. Wait, not even gonna bother.
Well, you know, Tom,
Listen.
we can always do like the FIA and F1 race. We can just chalk it up as a drone incident, as a racing incident.
A racing incident, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we
Listen, guys,
didn't even
gotta
start
get outta
talking
here.
about FPVs, Draymond. Okay.
yeah, I know.
We got to get out of here, guys. Anyway, we appreciate you all for coming through. Draymond, you know you can come on anytime, man. We
I
appreciate
appreciate it.
Tom, thank you for coming in. Herman, always thank you for being here. 400 AGL, Mel. I see something there related to him, but
He should be coming on, I guess, another hour or so. I think he said, I'm not sure what time, it's 7 p.m. He's in Oklahoma,
I'm just
Arkansas
saying he's
area.
not a supporter of those guys, so I'm not as I don't support certain channels that don't support us. Anyway,
Drone
that-
Media, I just want to point something out. He made a comment here that he said somebody crashed into the Rock of Cashel, a famous Irish castle, the other day. And, see, this is the problem. Yeah, we all want that great shot of that tourist attraction.
Mhm.
Well, get a great shot of the tourist attraction from afar. That's why we have these drones to go up in the sky, not to crash in the side of a castle, please.
This is true. Listen, guys, it's Sunday Nights with Those Guys is sponsored by those guys. And we need to get the hell out of here. Plus, I'm hungry, damn it. What else do I gotta say? It's been fun. And you guys got anything to say before we get out of here? Other than
Peace and love.
Be safe, fly
I
safer.
guess we'll be back
There you
on
go.
Wednesday.
Yeah, God willing, we will.
Yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday.
Catches
it.
on the
Got
playback.
anything to say, Draymond?
No, I said I'll catch you guys on Wednesday from my office because you guys come on a little early on Wednesdays and I'm at work still, so I'll be peeping in.
Okay. Well,
We
we'll be here.
appreciate it, man. We appreciate it all. You guys have a great evening. Thank you for your support. Please continue to come back. And we have some things in the change. Hey, Tim Jackson, thanks for popping in. We have some things we're working on to try and increase production value, just bear with us. All right, everyone have a great evening. Good night. See you
Thank
Wednesday.
you.
Take
Good
care,
night.
everyone.
Take care. Good night, guys.
All right, we're clear
Okay.
of